For joining us for our virtual Lunch and Learn. We're here today to learn about the SBIR and STTR program and really hope you unlock the power of non-dilutive capital through the SBIR STTR program, which is funded by the SBA. We're excited to partner with Advocacy Chiefs and UC Davis Venture Catalyst in bringing this resource to you. My name's Cameron Law. I lead the Carlson Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, and we serve as a regional hub and platform for providing approachable and accessible entrepreneurial education, community, and support to enable startup founders of all backgrounds to scale and launch those businesses. And we're bringing this resource to you, one in partnership with the California Office of the Small Business Advocate through the Accelerate California designation that we received through the Sacramento Entrepreneurial Growth Alliance, and then the Advocacy Chiefs led by Ben, who will be introducing himself briefly, and the work that they do and will be leading our workshop has been funded through the City of Sacramento's innovation grants to provide an on-ramp into these types of resources, particularly in understanding the SBIR, STTR process. And so we're really excited that you're here. Just a little bit of level set. We would love for those that just joined, if you're able to share in the chat what industry you're coming from, and if there's a particular innovation that you're looking to bring your research to the forefront and particularly get funded. Would love for you to share high level just so we kind of can best provide some examples for you going forward. We will be using the chat feature for any Q&A, and also we would ask if you have questions as we go to use that raised hand feature. I'll be helping Ben facilitate, and we look forward to engaging you in this conversation. And so with that, I will unshare my screen and turn it over to Ben, but appreciate you all being here. And as he's sharing his screen, again, we are recording this session, and we'll follow up with the recording to this. So if you miss any key information, that will be coming your way, as well as the slides that you heard or that you see. So with that, take it away, Ben, and thank you all for being here.
Hey, thank you very much, Cameron. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate you all joining me here today. As Cameron mentioned, my name is Benjamin Cadronell, or Ben Cadronell, you can call me. I'm with Advocacy Chiefs. Just a quick, by way of introduction, 15 years as a corporate attorney. I've been doing development work and grant writing work for the past 10 years across the University of California, private sector, community colleges. I'm really excited about this project here. I see my colleague Katya is here as well. She and I are working on this project together, and excited to bring you this presentation today. So as Cameron noted, also this is funded by the City of Sacramento's Innovation and Economic Development Department, without whom we wouldn't be here today. So huge shout out appreciation for them. We also get to collaborate with Carlson Center, with Cameron, and with UC Davis Venture Catalyst, as well as the UC Davis Entrepreneurship Program, who have provided some support as well. So we're very excited to be here among people that we hold in very high esteem. And then just to kind of share, and if you have any questions, just feel free to raise your hand. I'm pretty approachable in that way. But already repeated this. We're launching this program to provide support for innovative small businesses looking for non-dilutive funding. So funding that does not hit your cap table, is grant funding in a lot of ways. There is some contract funding, which we'll explore the difference. But essentially, this is money that is not going to take equity from your company, and is to fund innovative, impactful research and development. And here, it's called America Seed Fund. In some ways, it's called the Small Business Innovation Research Program. So what is our project here? Before we kind of dive into the particulars of SBIR, the project is going to provide education, awareness, and direct grant writing support for a variety of SBIR grants. If for whatever reason the grants or the agencies that we're talking about today don't fit your particular area, rest assured that there's such a wide variety of agencies, about 11 agencies that do this award, and so we'll figure out how to find you support. But in this particular program, we're developing workshops and materials, so templates, writing materials, We're putting together panels to provide suitability and technical review. And we're also providing access to direct editing support and grant writing support. So everything to get you to and through the finish line on these SBIR grants, as well as the registrations. If you guys have ever broached, if you could in the chat indicate whether you've applied to the SBIR grant before, that would be awesome too. If you've had any experience in the SBIR, I'd love to know. But for those who aren't aware, the registration process alone is very cumbersome and very tedious and complicated. And so there are numerous technical requirements in addition to the narrative that need to be met, which is where my background as a transactional attorney, crossing the T's, dotting the I's, really comes into play. And just to give you a sense broadly about this SBIR program, okay, we're the Small Business Innovation Research Program, and it's to stimulate technology. So this is all we're talking about this really to understand ultimately who, if you're suitable for this program and whether or not you should, follow up, right? That's what we're trying to zero in on here. And so the idea is to stimulate technological innovation. So if you're working on something in the space of innovation, technological, I mean, in the broadest sense possible, let's just say, you're a small business, to meet the federal research and development. And we're also talking about the Sacramento regional needs, right? So life sciences is a major pillar within this region. We have a lot of support, as we'll kind of talk about in the coming slides. And one thing I did forget to mention I'll go back real quickly here on the suitability and technical review support. We are lining up some of the region's best. We have some participation from some really great firms and scientists in the region already who are in the life sciences space. Particularly, we have really strong support in the gene and cell therapy, in therapeutics broadly, in food science as it relates to biotechnology. These are areas we have strong support, but we're really interested in hearing what you all, as we go through the chat, what you're all interested in, what you're working on, so we can work on aligning those resources. And that's kind of the opportunity we have here too, is to align the resources we need in the region to provide you support. So, and that was kind of to give you a sense of the regional, when I was talking about regional needs, it kind of sparked my thought about that. But really, we're trying to identify disadvantaged small businesses. So folks who would be otherwise not served traditionally by this program. We want you to reach out to us. We'll help you work through the process. And really folks who are working towards commercialization. We're really looking to help spur innovation towards commercialization in this region. That's one of the huge benefits of this program, is the commercialization aspect of it, and the focus on that when you get into phase 2. So just to give you a sense of what's at stake here in terms of funding, so it's a significant amount of money, but and you can take a look at the timelines here as well. We're gonna kind of go back to that in terms of suitability as well. But you're looking at about a $300,000 for NIH, which is the National Institute of Health, which they have a wide variety, from mental health to therapeutics to veterinary sciences to food science to, it runs the gamut. $306,000 for 6 months to 2 years for phase 1. With a phase 2 budget of about $2 million for about a total project duration of 2 to 4 years. The NSF, on the other hand, funded a little bit differently. Phase 1, you're looking at about close to $300,000 over 6 months to a year, with phase 2 coming in at about $1 million. And then you have an opportunity for leverage funding at the very end. And so at phase NSF, you could get about $4 million at the end of this leverage funding opportunity. The success rates for these, especially for phase 1, I should say, it's the figures I have here are predominantly for phase 1. Is I said 15 to 20%. Some could argue it's 10 to 15%. The probability for success isn't high, but there are programs out there that have achieved success by providing these kind of supports and services for founders to increase their opportunity for success. We have a unique opportunity here to do that through our technical advisory support. We have a ton of connective fiber in this region, so to go out and get you letters of support, find you places for you to do your research if you haven't found them already, really just connect the dots in a way that you wouldn't get from a traditional SBIR program. So don't want to belabor you out too much, okay? Because I'd love to get questions. Let me see if, and Cameron will stop me if there are questions. But we're looking for a for-profit entity, first and foremost. It needs to be a small business, okay, fewer than 500 employees. Needs to be controlled by a U.S. citizen or permanent residents. It needs to be located in the U.S. For this particular project, we're looking for companies or persons that are located in Sacramento primarily, or within the SACOG region. And by SACOG region, I mean the 6 counties in the Sacramento region. We're looking for novel ideas. So when we say novel, it's not an iteration on an existing idea, but something truly novel, groundbreaking, that has a large market potential. And I'm going to share with you kind of what the next step is here for us. It's hard to see, so I wouldn't get too caught up in this. I can share this with Cameron afterwards. But essentially, it's broken up into three kind of categories, right? The first question I think is really interesting. Is the technology so innovative that it might not work? That's the threshold we're talking about in terms of innovation here. Is it so innovative that it might not work? These are moonshots we're talking about, right? They want you to be reaching so far that you might fall. And that's the way, and that's the mindset that you need to be going into with the Small Business Innovation Research Program. The second category is really about market potential. Is there a sufficient market size for us to invest federal dollars in, so that if it is successful, there's an opportunity for you to commercialize this, right? For NIH grants, for folks who are interested, the market potential is not as important as the research for NIH. On the NSF side, market is a much more predominant aspect of the application. So you'll need to develop more of a market plan for an NSF application versus as I'm kind of, I want to catch myself here. Is there, pause for 1 second. Is there any questions? Is there any other comments from folks? Don't want to race through too quickly here. But I do want to make sure, okay. Cameron,
I did.
Cameron, I actually send you the updated version here, if you don't mind.
Sure.
That's okay.
No
So
problem. I just shared so they can have a little bit easier to read
100%.
the assessment.
Yeah.
I'll follow up with
Yeah,
the revised version. It looks like we do have a raised hand, so go ahead, Nitin.
Robert and I actually went through the NSF I-Corps once before, and one of the things they mentioned, even though they had recommended us to move on to the next step, was that there needs to be an NSF lineage to the research that we're doing. So I'm wondering if there's something similar that's there. We never tried NIH.
Not specifically. So typically what we'll do in terms of suitability is the first step is this predetermination. The second step would be to actually reach out directly to the program manager of the specific agency. And then typically that's done after we put together some kind of similar to a project pitch for the NSF to give them a sense of the overview. But in my experience, that hasn't been the case, although that's certainly a plus in terms of your ability to your probability of success, right? I mean, your team and history of success in previous SBIR applications is a very strong indicator of your ability to achieve success on these projects. I don't know if that answers your question or not.
So it's not as strict as like the I-Corps program in terms of moving on. In a sense.
That's my understanding, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And Ben, I think one of the things that I want to chime in on
please.
is you know, I think that there have been in certain domains folks who have maybe previously applied and didn't end up getting their getting the funding when they applied the first round or the second round or even the third. And there are certain things that they had to work on as far as the SBIR application goes, or even getting creative and partnering with another, whether that's an organization entity that would be adding more meat to the bone as far as the application process to make their candidacy a lot more robust in regards to the the competitive advantage, right, landscape, to be able to stand out more as far as the application process and check off certain boxes. So we want to make this as successful as possible for the candidates. So there could be an opportunity of connecting those who end up in our program with others within the same realm of expertise. So there is an additional component of added value for those that go through our process, get selected, and then receive certain types of connections and resources. So I wanted to make sure that was addressed. I know we were going down kind of the high overview here, but we want to give a little bit. Our intent and goal is to make this program as successful for those who end up in our program. And every single one is going to be at a different point and have maybe different needs as far as resources go. I don't know if you want to chime in on that, but I just wanted to make sure that was captured.
I appreciate that. No, I tend to agree with everything you're saying. We're really trying to connect the dots with among a lot of different resources, whether it's the need for lab space, the SBIR guidelines allow for a certain percentage of the research and development work to be outsourced to third parties or to subcontractors. So what is that? If you do need support, what does that look like? So it's not just about the narrative itself, it's about what makes the narrative the strongest, and securing these grant funds. So, and then just to mention, I didn't mention, but this is funded from the city of Sacramento. So at this time, we're not anticipating a cost for these services for the participants who are chosen. But we do need some kind of commitment for completion. So we've toyed with the idea of refundable deposits or things like that, but we haven't decided all the way yet. I think we're still finalizing those details, I should say.
Commitment part is key because there will be many candidates interested. We're going to pick the most viable ones and commitment of some sort from them in order to get the process started, because there's only a certain number of seats we're able to work with this first year, and those are going to be important seats to pick the right committed candidates.
Yeah, and this is why I'm focusing here on the suitability, on the assessment here, because that's really going to be the first threshold for us, is really understanding where you all are at and whether you're in a position to be viable SBIR candidates. The last category here is really kind of, the innovation criteria, right? Because these are 6 to 12 month research and design programs, and could potentially be as long as 3 years. So, do you have that mapped out from an innovation standpoint in a way that's clearly articulated? And so these are all things you need to be before you even apply, right? And so this is where we want to help you work through some of those things first. We've heard stories from a number of founders who have spent a lot of time and effort applying for these grants only to not win them. And it's heartbreaking for anybody who puts that much effort and time and energy and to not win it, right? And we take those risks because we're innovators, but at the same time, we want to increase our probability for success. So that's what the focus of our program really is going to be. We're really going to be focused on is how can we increase the probability of your success on this SBIR application. So with that in mind, and I want questions, of course, if you have questions. Here's a QR code. I'm going to put in the chat as well. Give me 1 second here. It's the same link here. It's the calendar. We want you to make a meeting with, set up a time with us, and let's talk about it. You know, there's so many different programs. It'd be hard for me to try to capture what all the depth and breadth of your all research on this one call. I think it's much easier for me to just, if you want to just take some time, meet with me at your convenience. I really want to unpack with you what you're working on and start doing that preliminary suitability assessment so that we can better understand whether, what the next steps are. So with that being said, I don't want to take up too much of your time because time is valuable. I really do appreciate your time and your presence here. I want to know if you have any questions. I'm going to stop sharing here. I'll put my email address here as well. But we'd really love to just kind of understand if you guys have some questions, or if you guys want to just go ahead and book time, please do. I'm ready for you all to just book time and meet with me.
So I'll see if there's any questions. Go ahead, Deshana.
Oh man. Okay. Yeah, do you have good credit to be eligible for the program?
Nope. You just have to have a really innovative idea and be a small business.
Yeah. The goal of it is, like Ben mentioned, this was through the city of Sacramento to keep, to have companies start and stay here in the region. Economic development is a big component of it. We also want diversity to be a part of this whole thing because that's very key for us here too regionally. So we are looking at that as part of the program goals. And then in addition to what Ben was sharing, I think that being a resource and increasing the success rate of these SBIR grants to the region is really the ultimate, goal here. So that if we show the success on our end, ideally, the goal is, no promises. This is our goal, that we will be able to continue this for, next year and so forth, if possible, and continue to add domains and then build this out further for the region. But we're not focusing on what's in front of us right now, which is, this is year one, make the program successful and do it right, on behalf of the city. So that's been a big part of it. I don't know if you have a follow-up question based on any of that.
No, I just do have one more question. Do you have to be pre-revenue?
So it's not necessarily so. You have to be a small business. So there's small businesses of all different, there's some small businesses that are they're generating revenue that just have an innovative idea and a novel idea that they're working on, and that's perfectly fine. The idea itself is something that's novel and innovative, so it's unlikely that you have existing customers, but it's possible. It's possible.
Okay, thank you.
And is it Deshana?
Deshana.
Sorry. So, and Deshana, I think the best recommendation would be to schedule time with our group, with Ben, and to share a little bit about your idea or your business with us, where you're at, and then we can, further, I guess, move along with what, if you would be a viable candidate for this, and then go from there.
Okay, thank you.
Looks like Nitin, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, so if you're working on an idea and you haven't even incorporated it yet, we're going through the validation process. Is that still acceptable, or do we have to incorporate before we can apply to
That's a really good
program?
question. I actually don't have the answer off the top of my head, to be honest with you. My sense is you probably have to be incorporated because you have to have a DUNS number, and the registration process requires, you probably have to be incorporated.
How far away are you from that?
We haven't started the process, but from what I understand, it's actually not that hard to get all those things.
I mean, the recommendation would be get it incorporated or know that you're getting close to it, and then make an appointment with us to hold a call about it to see if you're, again, a viable candidate from the business angle, and then we can move from there. I think that we will have kind of like a few tranches of candidacies until we fill the allotted slots that we are committed to. And so if we still have those seats and we're going to continue to work with candidates and your timing works out and you're a viable, business for it, then we can move forward. But I think the first step would be to, again, make an appointment with us and then, start the process of getting incorporated and then go from there.
Can we make an appointment with you before we incorporate, just to understand things, the program before?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That would be part of the process. That's definitely part of the service we want to offer. So
Right.
please feel free to do that.
All right, thank you.
It looks like Raphael, who's part of our technology transfer office here at Sac State, wanted to share just briefly his own experience with SBIR or STTR. Yeah, so go ahead, Raphael.
Oh, I'm trying to unmute. Can you hear me?
We can hear you and see you.
Oh, okay, good. At my previous university, University of Hawaii, one of the things that helped some of these startups is some of them would have a product that they needed to improve, and they didn't particularly have the ability to improve that product or the knowledge. So they would come to team up with one of our researchers at our university, and they would give them, when they submitted for their SBIR grant, STTR grant, they would put in a budget of a subaward for that researcher to help them improve their product, to give them consulting advice. So you can also team up with Sac State in such a way, and that could help you enhance your ability to get that grant.
Absolutely. I love that insight. Thank you so much. That's really what some of the dots, that the most important dots we are trying to connect as we're moving forward for our founders that we're working with, is to get them, if they don't have a university research partner, I think that would be a boon to their SBIR application. We also didn't talk about the STTR program, which is the technology transfer version of the SBIR program, which is where, the university has, Sacramento State or UC Davis has intellectual property that's currently sitting on the shelf right now, looking for a home for commercialization, right? And so if you're a founder out there that you find a technology partner at the university who's working on something and they're looking to commercialize it, that technology transfer program is absolutely viable. And just as Raphael mentioned, including university research partners on this application can only strengthen the technical nature of it. So I'll be following up with you, Raphael.
Yes. Okay. Please do so.
Robert, yep, go ahead. You have your hand
Yeah.
raised.
So is there some sort of so when you talk about university partners for technology transfer, is there some sort of a history of past projects that have been given grants that have university partners, just to get a sense for like what, the level of advancement and kind of what the cohort would be for that?
Yeah, I don't know if I have any specific information off the top right now, Robert. I know both universities have dedicated technology transfer offices, and it's typically, the Small Business Innovation Research Grant Program is usually pretty well subscribed at the university level. So there's a lot of money that's being directed in that way, but it needs to be involved. It needs to involve a small business ultimately, right? So a small business needs to be involved.
I want to delineate between technology transfer, which implies like some new scientific concept that hasn't been applied yet, versus just innovation, which is what you see in Silicon Valley all the time, right?
Sure. I think that's fair. I think there's got to be some novel aspect regardless of the innovation, right? Whether it's emanating from the university initially or whether it's emanating from industry. So it's got to be novel and it's got to be innovative. So it can't just be what's already existing, and it can't just be an iteration of that thing. It has to be something that's really advancing it or developing it in a new way. So I think you're right on the language. There can be, I don't want to use it too loosely, right? Because there's actually an STTR program, which is a technology transfer program. There's the idea of technology transfer. I don't want to confuse folks.
Mhm.
But ultimately, the university partnerships, whether it can be in an SBIR context, they can support those research efforts, because a third of the research on a phase one, for example, can be outsourced outside of the company. And so in order to position, these are some of the things that we talk about, right? In order to position your company for the greatest probability of success, this is how we can increase your probability of success in one way. So I'm sorry if that doesn't answer your question, Robert. I know if we want to connect offline, I can perhaps dig in on a specific question for you and do some research. I'd be happy to.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. So Nitin and I are working together on this. So I guess we can set up a meeting for the three of us.
That would be great. I would be really excited to do that.
Any additional questions, comments, concerns? So outside of, it sounds like lining up some time with you seems like a good option. And I'll get to Raphael if you want to hop in just after me. I guess one question I have, like in preparation, is there any anything they can be working on to best utilize the time and like set themselves up for success, both for a conversation with you and or getting plugged into the cohort? Like what does that look like, and what tangible things might they need to create?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So yeah, I think there's a lot of there's a lot of information that's out there that's available for folks that they could be looking at. I tend to try to get, I want to get some kind of, concise statement of the project is ideal. If they could be working, whether it's, for the NSF, they call it the project pitch. For the NIH, they call it the specific aims, but it's just a concise version of the thing that the research you're trying to do. That's something that they should be every founder should probably be working on in general, to just get it real concise if they're going to be applying for grants. Other than that, I think it's really a function of just like reaching out. So we're going to be the first cohort. We're looking at putting together ideally sometime in July. The NIH I think is going to be, the deadlines are going to be coming out sometime in September, like the first 2024 will be September, and then another one in January deadline. And their new topics will be coming out here pretty soon, I think. NSF is a rolling deadline, so it's always one that's ripe for application. But I think the NIH has a much more robust SBIR budget overall, because there's just so many different agencies that participate. And anyways, so I don't want to digress too much, but so the executive summary would be helpful, or some kind of non-confidential pitch deck. That tends to be the thing that our technical advisors want to see, just a quick snapshot of what it is that the folks are working on, to get an initial indication.
Perfect. Thank you. Go
I
ahead,
just
Raphael.
wanted to mention that, particularly for Robert's question, is for the phase one grant, you do not have to have a working prototype. You can use the phase one grant to develop that working prototype by teaming up with another company or with a university such as ours.
That's absolutely correct, and I appreciate that distinction. Yeah, I said it kind of euphemistically as early stage, right? But I think to be more precise, that's absolutely the case. There needs to be a plan developed, a research plan, right? You need to have that all kind of together, but certainly this is part of the, taking the leap, but maybe missing, right? We're trying to do something that hasn't been done. We may or may not be able to accomplish it, but this is who we have together as our team, and this is what we're going to try to do to accomplish it.
Yeah.
Ben, can I ask one more question?
Please.
Yes. In Hawaii, we had a separate nonprofit corporation set up by Honolulu called Hawaii Technology Development Corporation. and they would do something similar to what what Sacramento is doing is helping our small businesses get SBIR grants. But HCTC took it one step further. If they got an SBIR grant, they would kick in some additional money. Does Sacramento do something like that?
I haven't seen it yet. That's phase 2 of what I'm working towards.
Okay.
Yeah, I think those matching grants, especially, when you're looking at an NSF phase 2B, if you're able to leverage those things and be able to get those matching grants at that critical juncture, that becomes really interesting. But yes, there's a lot of different states and regions that have set up those matching grant funds. And we're absolutely looking at that as a roadmap item. So I appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah, Cameron has your contact information, correct? So I'll make sure to reach out.
Yep, I'll make sure to connect you for sure.
I appreciate that.
Awesome.
Okay, yeah, and again, can't reiterate enough. Please just book time on my calendar. As part of the offering here with the city of Sacramento, we're also offering about 10 hours a week of office hours, quote unquote. So just drop-in grant questions, even if it doesn't have to do with SBIR, just bring it, But I think, we're trying to focus on the SBIR initially, but yeah.
Terrific. Awesome. Well, thank you all for being here. Thank you, Ben, for leading this effort. And as I shared, I will be following up with the recording. So if you needed to dive into any of the questions that you might have missed or wanted to go back to, I'm happy to do so, as well as I'll share the links to schedule time with Ben. And feel free to reach out if you have any questions. But again, thank you all, and we look forward to seeing you at one of our future sessions. So have a great rest of your day, and we'll speak soon. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks.